Potholer54 kindly took the time to respond to my video on the Maldives, in which I wondered out loud how outrageous claims made about it in the name of climate change could possibly be true.
Thanks, Academic Agent. You're welcome. And just a reminder, here was the outrageous claim that AA, Academic Agent, is referring to.
Scientists have been giving grave warnings about the Maldives for many years. In 1988, they predicted that it may be submerged in 30 years' time. Maldives may be under the sea by the year 2030.
And AA wondered why, therefore, people were investing in the islands.
Don't they know that their money will be under the sea before long?
So who was making this outrageous claim about the Maldives being under the sea by 2030? As I showed in my response video, it wasn't scientists, and it wasn't even the Mail Online. It was the Academic Agent himself.
The media distorted and misreported the facts.
Sorry, AA, but it's no good blaming the media for the fact that you misread the Mail Online story. The problem seems to be that you only read the headline, which is where you got the 2030 date from. If you'd read the body of the story, you would have seen that there was a range of dates, from the 2030s to the 2060s. And you assumed that uninhabitability meant being under the sea. It doesn't mean that at all. Even the Mail Online never suggested that. If you'd checked the Mail's source, which is a scientific study, you would have found all the relevant dates and what uninhabitability entails. The Academic Agent's reason for not reading the study is that people, I presume he means himself, don't have access to academic journals, and they don't have training in stats. But to get access to the study the Mail was citing, all I had to do was Google an obvious key word in the Mail story and the year. I found the paper in about 30 seconds. It's publicly available. Anyone can download it. And you don't need any training in stats to read it. I suck at stats, but the paper was in plain English.
What Potholer reports about what the actual science says, I was correct.
No, you didn't get the science right either. It's funny because in an audio call-in, you accepted that.
I made the fatal error of saying scientists say, and apparently if you go back to the original journal article, the scientists didn't say that, so the media got it wrong.
Well, you got it wrong, but okay, does that matter? And the answer is yes, of course. There's a huge campaign these days trying to discredit scientists by quoting or inventing ridiculous claims and then pretending that these are the conclusions of scientists in order to bring science into disrepute. I'm sure this was just bad reporting by the Academic Agent rather than a deliberate ploy, but either way the Academic Agent's subscribers believe what he tells them.
Either the media, the activists and the likes of Greta, or let us say the AOC or Bill Nye the Science Guy, are correct and we should be alarmed, or the science is correct and the truth is that the concerns we hear about almost daily are very, very overblown.
No, it's not either or. Bill Nye and Greta may get some facts correct and they may get others wrong, just as the Academic Agent does. Just as all bloggers, politicians, newspapers and political activists do. It's our responsibility, if we're going to report on the science, to correct assertions that are wrong and disseminate those that are factually accurate. In this particular case, if the Mail Online had raised concerns that the Maldives will be underwater by 2030, then of course that would be overblown. But the Mail never made any such claim. That was something the Academic Agent made up himself. And he simply assumed that that's what the scientific study had concluded. Now that AA knows scientists are not saying the Maldives will be submerged in 12 years' time, it's a century away, he's gone to the opposite extreme and assumes researchers are saying there's no immediate concern. But that isn't the case either. What researchers are saying is that although total inundation beneath the waves is a century away, the Maldives will become increasingly uninhabitable long before that, as sea level rise triggers more regular overwash, causing infrastructure damage and salty groundwater. As the authors of the study explain, how soon and how quickly this occurs depends on how much CO2 concentration rises over the next few decades, and that depends on the decisions we make now. It's also a concern now for children growing up in the Maldives who'll have to deal with the consequences of more frequent overwash, salty drinking water, damaged and destroyed infrastructure, and eventual evacuation of their islands. They don't see these concerns as overblown at all. Now, of course, I agree with the academic agent that there's a lot of bullshit in the public arena. Politicians make dumb remarks like the world will end in 12 years and that ice melt can't cause sea level rise. Tabloid newspapers, videos and blogs make so many ridiculous or misleading claims that I have a hard time keeping up. The answer isn't to embellish these misrepresentations and make up an even more fanciful claim and then claim to have been right all along. The answer is to correct them. So I hope you take this criticism as constructive, AA, and I would urge you, when you want to expose a misleading claim, find one that really is misleading. Quote it so that people can see you haven't misunderstood or misrepresented it. Then fact-check the claim by doing some research. I've debunked lots of these silly claims on my channel, so do feel free to borrow some.